It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another one. We're back to talk about Season 10, Episode 16 of The Walking Dead, which is called A Certain Doom. So they recently released like a ton of new photos from the upcoming episode, Season 10, Episode 16, which is the Season 10 finale. And these images are absolutely awesome. And it actually does a pretty good job getting you excited and hyped for the new episode. So the first photo is actually this photo of Father Gabriel. Of course, he is inside the tower and he is holding the shotgun. Whispers at this point have entered the building and he has to fight them in order to protect everybody else and himself. We see a related picture here as well, Father Gabriel fighting the Whispers, and then this picture right here of Father Gabriel holding the shotgun. This scene was actually in the trailer as well. Then we get this pretty interesting picture of Daryl and Negan together. They did release like a few of the pictures earlier, like a couple months ago. So we did talk about this particular picture alongside some other ones. So I'm not going to go in detail, but one thing I am super excited about, and based on the teaser, it seems like we are getting, is a team up between Negan and Daryl. So them working together. So I'm absolutely excited to see that come to the screen. Then we get this pretty awesome shot of the main door, I'm assuming, to the tower or the building that they're at with walkers outside. This is a pretty cool picture and it paints you like a picture, for lack of a better word, of how claustrophobic and how intense this episode is going to be. Then we get this picture of Jerry. He is inside the tower at this point. This picture of Lydia, and then we get this picture of Daryl. Again, he's inside the tower, and then we get this shot of everybody getting prepared to head outside. So we see a walker on the floor with its guts ripped out, and we see the survivors wearing the ponchos with the blood guts on it. Some, like Kelly, are even wearing whisper masks to blend in as well. Now, Judith is not wearing a poncho because she's actually not going with everybody else. As I've talked about before, it seems like the initial plan that the survivors have is for some of the survivors to leave and then try to redirect the herd somewhere else and then come back and get everybody else. Then we get this picture of Kelly and Judith. They're most likely saying goodbye before the first group heads out. Kelly is actually one of the people that's going to head out initially. Lydia, as we can see in the background, is not wearing the poncho, so she's most likely staying back. Then we get this picture of Judith, one of the Oceanside members. I don't remember her name. And also Carol, badass Carol with the knife. Again, this is probably when the first group, that's going to include Carol for sure, and Daryl, they're going to leave and try to redirect the herd. Then we get this picture of Father Gabriel and Judith talking. Father Gabriel is holding the shotgun that we just saw earlier. So the scenes with the Whispers entering the room could either be before this scene or after this scene with Father Gabriel talking to Judith. And then we get this picture of Rachel from Oceanside, Scott, and also Judith. They're holding some sort of a rope, which I'm assuming is related to them putting obstacles or booby traps to keep the Whispers away. Then we get this picture of Daryl on the other side and most likely Carol behind him and Judith saying goodbye to them. We see Father Gabriel here as well, so I'm assuming this is right when the initial group leaves. And then we get this shot of Beta in the middle of the walker herd and the Whisper army that he has. And then this shot of Daryl, a similar shot, so I'm assuming that they're gonna come face to face at some point in this episode, maybe even in the middle of the herd, which is actually gonna be interesting if it happens. But behind Daryl, we actually see someone, either a Whisper or one of the survivors with a Whisper mask. It's really difficult to tell. And then we get this picture of Carol on top of some sort of a rock. Of course, this is after the first group successfully gets away. So they're at a spot that's a relatively good distance away from the tower. So what I think we're seeing here is they're just looking at the herd to see the magnitude of the threat and planning on what they should do to redirect the herd. Then we get this shot of Carol and someone else. They have their bow and arrow ready and they're most likely looking at a herd come in. And then we have this pretty awesome shot of a Whisper with a knife. This could also be a survivor, but I think it's a Whisper. I mean, look at how they're dressed. That leads me to think that it's actually a Whisper and not a survivor wearing a Whisper mask. But they have a knife, they're ready to attack. Then we get this pretty interesting picture of Daryl with his knife, looking at someone get devoured by walkers. He's in the middle of the herd, of course, but what I'm really interested to see is who's on the floor. I doubt that it's anyone we know. I think it's just a whisper because of the way Daryl is looking at them. So I think what happened is one of the whispers, maybe the one we just saw in the previous picture, attacking Daryl, and then Daryl actually getting the upper hand and killing them before they can get to him. And then watching them get eaten alive in front of him. So that's pretty interesting. Now behind Daryl, we have another person who I'm assuming is a survivor. Not just because of them wearing the poncho with the blood on it, but because they are hanging on to Daryl's hoodie. Now, who is that? That's extremely difficult to say, but my gut feeling tells me that might be Connie or Kelly. I mean, it could be Connie or Kelly, but I don't know. There's something about this that leads me to think that this is a Easter egg or a tease of some sort. It's either Kelly or Connie or Cindy from Oceanside, someone like that because of their body shape. And then we have this picture that I mentioned earlier. We have some of the survivors, including Jerry, Kelly, Daryl. We even see Lydia in the back. If you look in between the horses' heads, I think that's actually Lydia, but they're actually leading the herd away at this point, which is pretty interesting, and it kind of confirms my initial discussion and my theory that I had before. We have a similar picture right here, the herd in the background and them leading the herd away. And then we have this picture of the herd and then another picture of the herd. And then we get into the pictures related to Eugene and Crew's journey to meet with Stephanie, who was the girl that Eugene was communicating with on the radio. So in here we see a silhouette of Eugene, Ezekiel, Yumiko, and Princess in a train yard. And then we have another picture that's related, the same sort of thing. And then another one, same sort of thing. And then we get this picture of Eugene, again, from the same scene, most likely. And then this picture of Princess in the same area. This picture of Ezekiel in the background and Yumiko, again, same area. And then we get this picture of them waiting. And then another picture that's related. And then another one of Eugene and Yumiko in the same area. And then this last photo of Ezekiel, again, in the same area. Nothing too much to say about these pictures in the train yard because they're pretty much identical. It's just a different angle, a different character, but it's the same sort of thing. So there's nothing too much to talk about there. But I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown of these photos. If you did, make sure to share and smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.